Mr. Labange. Ms. Perry is here and ready to make her presentation. However, Mr. Pacheco, Mr. Garcetti, so that Mr. Holden, Ms. Misakowski, Ms. Perry are here. We await the arrival of Mr. Pacheco, Mr. Garcetti, Mr. Weiss, and Mr. Labange.
How are you? Where's Ken? Where is he?
This is him right here.
Oh, okay. Oh, hi. Okay. Okay, well, we're going to do it in a minute. Okay, hi. Okay. You should have seen the bridge speech that they wrote.
Oh my God, I edited that down with my 4 pages.
Well, yeah, then you knew. Yeah, right. I mean,
This one, I had to take out all the technical terms
yeah.
because it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, okay, there's something water.
Assessment of aeration basins and activated sludge plants. Talk about excitement.
If we can come to order, we have a number of presentations. Today we will begin with Ms. Perry, followed by Mr. Pacheco, and then Mr. Weiss in that order. Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm joined here today with Mr. Ken Kirk. He is the Executive Director of Association of Metropolitan Sewerage Agencies, AMSA. He's here today to present our Mayor and the City Council 2002 National Environmental Achievement Awards received by our own Bureau of Sanitation for contributions to public information, research, and technology. AMSA is a national organization headquartered in Washington, D.C., and is involved in all facets of water quality protection. It represents over 270 of the nation's publicly owned wastewater utilities, including the City of Los Angeles. Its goal is to develop and implement scientifically based, technically sound, and cost-effective environmental programs. Each year, the association recognizes individuals and agencies that have made outstanding contributions to environmental protection and wastewater management. Our Bureau has received an award for public information and education for an educational video on integrated plan for the wastewater program called IPWP, and a Research and Technology Award for an innovative cost-saving program of assessing and optimizing aeration basins and activated sludge plants that the Bureau created. The first project was entitled Assessment of Aeration Basins in Activated Sludge Plants. During the treatment process, the biggest cost of operating a treatment plant is the need to use energy to pump air into wastewater in aeration basins. The Bureau project involved developing equipment which made it possible to measure the optimum amount of air needed and has resulted in an annual energy savings of $200,000 at the D.C. Tillman, Los Angeles, Glendale, and Terminal Island treatment plants. I'm here today, and I know you join me in congratulating the team that produced this award-winning project for the City of Los Angeles. The team consists of Reza Iranpour, Miguel Zarmino, Alfredo Magallanes, and Deepak Patel. The Bureau received a second award for their educational video entitled A New Direction. The video was produced last year as a public information and education tool to explain the integrated plan for the wastewater program process, or IPWP, which was the first step in planning to meet the City of Los Angeles wastewater needs through 2020. They were also actively involved in producing and appearing in the video, which outlines changes in the city's approach to preparing the technical facilities and policies planning for 2020 in a new integrated way. The IPWE enlisted the public in the planning and design development process at an early stage. They received policy input on planning, water supply and conservation, water recycling, and stormwater management issues. I know you're going to join me for a second time in congratulating this team that produced this award-winning project. They include Julie Inouye, Kevin Snavely, Chris Harris, Heather Boyle, Deborah Pham, and Amy Jones. Now I'd like to ask Mr. Kirk to come to the microphone.
Thank you very much, and good morning. I really appreciate having the opportunity to be here today and be part of your awards ceremony before the City Council, honoring the City of LA's achievements in the water quality arena. For the past 19 years, the Association of Metropolitan Sewage Agencies has taken great pride in honoring the very best and brightest of the clean water community through the association's National Environmental Achievement Awards program. The National Environmental Achievement Awards program has honored 137 individuals and 104 member agencies, recognizing excellence in a wide variety of categories, ranging from extensive public service activities and innovative research projects to operational excellence and educational initiatives. I'm proud to be here today to honor one of the best, the City of Los Angeles Bureau of Sanitation. LA has long been a leader and an outstanding performer in the clean water community and has never been more evident than it is right now with the honors being bestowed upon the Bureau today. And I have to say that since its inception in 1970, I'm talking about AMSA, LA has been a leader in our association, working with us and our colleagues throughout the country to help achieve the ambitious goals and objectives of the Clean Water Act. We truly appreciate your support and the contributions that Chris Westhoff, a member of our board of directors, and Ray Carney, chair of our Biosolids Management Committee, are making towards our collective efforts to improve water quality in LA and throughout the nation. City of LA Bureau of Sanitation was recently selected to receive 2 National Environmental Achievement Awards honoring the Bureau's efforts in research and technology and in public information and education. The Bureau was honored with the National Environmental Achievement Award in the Research and Technology category for the project called Assessment and Optimization of Aeration Basins in Activated Sludge Plants. The goal of this project was to implement a monitoring program in the city's activated sludge plants to improve aeration basin efficiency and reduce power consumption costs. Prior to this initiative, the aeration tanks were responsible for 2/3 of the plant's electric costs. The project resulted in a maintenance and monitoring program which resulted in better performance of the aeration system and provided a significant cost savings for the city. City of LA Bureau of Sanitation received the 2nd National Environmental Achievement Award in the Public Information and Education category for their video entitled A New Direction. The purpose of the New Direction video is to inform the public of the new changes in the City of LA's approach in future planning, called the Integrated Plan for the Wastewater Program, or the IPWP for short. Finally, I would like to personally present Councilwoman Perry with the City of Los Angeles Bureau of Sanitation's 2 National Environmental Achievement Awards. Councilwoman Perry is accepting these awards on behalf of Mayor Hahn and the City Council. Please accept my congratulations on the outstanding achievements that earn these distinguished honors.
On behalf of the entirety of the City Council, we
Thank you very much.
wish to congratulate you and thank you for your exemplary work. Members of the Council, we are moving on a somewhat tight timeline. Some members are arriving a bit late, others need to leave early. And in addition to that, we have a minimum number of people at best. Therefore, we'll have to move with all due speed. The next presenter then is Mr. Pacheco. And Sergeant, if you would make sure that the chamber is orderly, that would be helpful to us. We are wanting to hear these presentations. Sergeant Landry, Sergeant Curry. Mr. Pacheco, please.
Mr. President, colleagues, as always, is a bittersweet moment when we recognize some great public officials and public servants in our police department who have spent a sufficient amount of time that they can retire after 30 and 33 years of service. Obviously, we want to keep our great officers in service with us, but they also would like to move on and enjoy their families and enjoy retirement. So let me bring up two great individuals who have been a part of our city family and who've done a great job in the Northeast. Let me bring up Brooks Rayburn and Wayne Ritters. Brooks Rayburn began his service in April 1966 when he enlisted in the U.S. Navy, served as an air crewman and aircraft mechanic. The term twice served best describes Brooks' commitment to his country and to his community. Brooks entered the Los Angeles Police Academy in July of 1972. 30 years of dedicated police service in the Wilshire Division, 77th Division, and Central Traffic Division. Most of his career has been dedicated to the collision investigation work. For those of you keeping score, Brooks is on my right. And for you, those watching the TV camera, that'd be stage left, I guess, right here. Officer Rayburn has become the CDD's expert in the area of court procedures and subpoenas. In 1994, Central Traffic Division, CTD, adopted the Children's Hospital Bone Marrow Transplant Unit as their designated charity. Officer Rayburn was an integral part of the first annual Cops for Tots car show, which drew more than 250 entries and has raised more than $12,000 for the bone marrow transplant unit at Children's Hospital. Obviously, with that kind of record, we're going to have a very difficult time to fill his shoes here as part of Central Traffic Division and doing the service to the Northeast Division. In his retirement, he will spend his time as a full-time grandfather. He's a dad and a husband to his one and only wife of 32 years, Karen. Congratulations, Brooks.
Thank you much. Thank you. Well, I just want to say thank you. I had a wonderful career. It was actually John Ferraro that started me on my career, and I want to thank him for that. I miss him, and I'm looking forward to retirement. Thank you much.
Thank you for your years of service to the city of Los Angeles.
I guess we're staying on the theme of the military, huh? Wayne Ritters grew up as part of a military family himself. His father was a Navy man. After college, he continued in his father's legacy and entered the U.S. Army. Oh, both of you are considered twice served, huh? Described as both commitments to the country and to the community. He served in Vietnam in Special Forces Green Beret, achieved the rank of sergeant, especially trained as a team medical service specialist and weapons expert, a proud recipient of the Army's Commendation Medal for saving the lives of 13 soldiers. 33 years ago, Wayne continued his public service by joining the Los Angeles Police Department in 1968. His entire time was spent in uniform patrol. Sergeant Ritters has earned the reputation of being a fair policeman, respected by his peers. He is as a new patrol sergeant in the 77th area. He observed a despondent war veteran who decided to end his life by jumping from a freeway overpass. Juan approached the individual, calmed him. The man approached to calm him. The man jumped to certain death, but due to the quick thinking of our officer Wayne, he physically grabbed the man's hand and held his body weight as he dangled from the overpass until additional officers responded and helped pull that individual back to safety. Wayne Ritters was a recipient of the Police Star for his heroic efforts. The last 14 years have been spent at Central Division, where he has worked his way up to the rank of Sergeant 2 Watch Commander. He and his wife, Gwendolyn, will spend his retirement going antiquing. So I want to congratulate and commend Sergeant 2 Wayne Ritters for his dedicated service to the people of Los Angeles. And good luck on your retirement, and have fun antiquing.
Thank you for a wonderful 33 years, and I'm going to enjoy my retirement.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to you and your family.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Pacheco, thank you for those two presentations. Mr. Clerk, I believe we have 10 members now. Sergeant, if you would ready the chambers for our conducting of business today, we'd be appreciative.
First order of business, call the roll. Bernstein, Galandra, Garcetti, Gruel, Hahn, Holden, Labange, Miskowski, Pacheco, Perry, Reyes, Ridley Thomas, Weisstein, and Padilla. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
All right, what's the first order of business, Mr.?
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Mrs. Perry moves, Ms. Gruel seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
In that instance, Ms. Galanter moves, Ms. Zukowski seconds.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
could I request that we do special number 1? I actually have bad news. I have 2 specials and a friendly Prop 5 coming in today. Because it's the last meeting of the year, these things tend to pile up. But while we have 10 members, could we take special 1, which has just been distributed?
That's acceptable to me. Ms. Galanter, we have several items. We are going to briskly move through the agenda unless there's an objection from anyone. And if there's no objection pursuant to your request, we'll take up special number 1.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk.
President, on the regular agenda, items numbers
No, wait. We're doing special number 1. He just said. I
Ms.
heard him say
Galanter.
it.
Proceed.
Sorry.
Items numbers 1 through 6 on the regular agenda are items for which public hearings are noticed. There is a card on item number 1.
All right. Item number 1 is called a special. We have a couple of persons wishing to be heard. These are for the special meeting. Are there any items to be called special? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, items numbers 1 through 6 are before you. Item number 1, is the card for that item, or is it for the special one?
Item 1, Tim Riley wishes to be heard, I think.
Okay, we'll call that special.
Indeed.
So items numbers 2 through 6 are before you.
All right. Anyone wishing to be heard on any of those items? We see no such person. Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Close the roll. Now tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Mr. President, items numbers 2 through 6 will be held over for a second reading inasmuch as they're ordinances, and they will be considered on July 9th.
That will proceed.
Items numbers 7 through 12 on the regular agenda are items for which public hearings have been held.
Any specials, members of the council? Item number 8 is called special by Mr. Weiss. Any other specials? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, now tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
Thank you. Please proceed with the balance of the agenda, Mr. Clerk.
For the record, item number 7 is an ordinance that will be held over for a second reading on July 9th.
Without objection.
Items numbers 13 through 23 on the regular agenda are items for which public hearings have not been held. A motion is required on item number 17 inasmuch as it requests the Police Department and Emergency Preparedness Departments to report today.
All right, any specials? Anyone prepared to move 17? It's been properly moved. Is there a second? Mr. Garcetti seconds, I believe. All right, we can then proceed with those items that are before us. Mr. Clerk, if you open the roll on those items before us. Now close the roll. Please tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
Thank you. Proceed, please.
Item number 24 on the continuation of the agenda is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Item number 24 is before us. Anyone? Mr. Holden.
Mr. President, because of the time and there's no urgency that we hold 24 over until Tuesday, and I'd like to say the same thing for 25. When you get to it, I think that's next.
Any objection to item number 24 being continued?
Mr. President, there is a time limit on that matter, and the time limit is today.
Today?
Time-limited matter. Mrs. Galanter?
That's what I was going to mention. The
All right.
contract expires.
Then we call it special.
This is just an
It's called
extension.
special. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Mr. President, also on the continuation agenda, items numbers 25 and 26 are now before you. Those are matters for which public hearings have not been held.
All right. They are before us. 25 is being called special. Open the roll on the balance. Close the roll. Please tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
Next items, please.
Item number 27 is closed session item. Do you wish that to remain on the desk?
Mr. President,
For now, yes.
Mr. President,
Sir.
oversight here. I wanted 26 special also.
Both?
Yeah,
No, we just
25 and 26.
we just adopted 26
We'll
members
reconsider,
of the members of the council. Mr. Holden indicates that he intended to have both 25 and 26 called special. If there is no objection, we will proceed consistent with the intent of the chair of the committee.
Okay. Item number 26 is now called special. Mr. President, that brings you back to special 1 you wish to take out of order.
All right, we will then proceed as requested. Special 1 is before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding the findings, this has to do with floodgates that were built on the original Ballona Creek flood control, and we're working with the Army Corps of Engineers, and they have just informed the city that the council needs to approve this, or we won't get the federal grant, federal monies, and the time is today. So the council would need to make findings that the need to act arose after the posting of the agenda, and there's an immediate need to act.
All right, members of the council, on the findings, please open the roll. Close the roll. Now tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
Thank you very much. The chair now recognizes Ms. Galanter.
Thank you, Mr. President. The reason I was so anxious about this is that this is one of those awful things that has taken forever and a day to reach the agreement we need. This is, what this will do is allow the Army Corps to put flap gates into the Ballona wetlands, into the county flood control channel that will allow water to get into the wetlands so they will be able to stay wet. The environmental groups have been campaigning for this for at least 12 years. It's taken at least 10 years of negotiations and housebreaking successive generations of the owners of the property that this really is important. And then getting the Army Corps, the city, the county, and the landowner to agree on the terms of the agreement. We only achieved that agreement on Wednesday of this year. And part of the reason we were able finally to achieve it is that we were beginning to realize that the deadline for the money must be coming close. So this is one where even Playa Vista has agreed that they're going to let us do this, and we just need to get it done, and I ask your support.
Thank you very much. Any further comment or discussion on the matter? Seeing none,
Mr. Ridley-Thomas, I did press my button.
all right, please proceed.
Two things. One, I noticed there were some cards in the file, and unless the public wants to waive their speaking, I think this is a public matter since it was brought in special. So I would, first of all, move the public hearing for the two speakers, but also rise in very, very strong support of Ms. Galanter's motion, and one, express my appreciation to Ms. Galanter and her staff for contacting my staff on the urgency of this as we are soon to make a transfer of districts. But this is critical, a long-standing project that has been long planned, and that we are, by acting today, able to avail ourselves of close to $1 million by the Army Corps of Engineers to do this work, which is vital to the whole restoration of the wetlands project, is important. But let me conclude by just asking that we have that public hearing so the council can precipitate the action and accept this.
Thank you very much, Ms. Miskowski. Members of the council, there are two persons wishing to be heard. They are Wendy Raines and Ruth Lansford. And at this time, we will ask both of them to come forward and testify accordingly.
Good morning, council members. I'm Wendy Raines, and I'm actually here wearing two hats today. I'm Executive Director of the Ballona Wetlands Foundation, as well as a very long-time Executive Board member of Heal the Bay. On behalf of both organizations, I strongly support the Ballona Wetlands Environmental Restoration Project that will replace the old flap gates with new two-way gates. We've been waiting a very long time for this. As Ms. Galanter said, it's been about 12 years in the works. Due to the faulty existing gates, there's been very little tidal influence, and this lack of salt water is the major factor in the decline of the native flora and fauna and diversity and density at Ballona. The new gates are desperately needed to provide essential tidal flushing to the salt marsh. Because it's taken so long already, there's an abundance of freshwater influence causing all the little creatures and plants of a salt marsh habitat to struggle so much more for survival. The Ballona wetlands is dying. All the years of valiant efforts invested by the Friends of Ballona Wetlands, Heal the Bay, and the Foundation won't mean anything if we can't get the right balance of salt water in there. I urge you to approve this project, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your testimony.
I'm Ruth Lansford. I'm president of Friends of Ballona Wetlands, and for 25 years we have led the effort to restore Ballona. As you can see, it's taken a very long time. The wetlands cannot wait any longer. Salt water is the life's blood of a wetland, and I know that the eventual restoration, which we're more hopeful about than we've ever been in the past, will be a wonderful one. But meanwhile, think of this as being in the wetlands as being in the position of a patient in the emergency room who needs a transfusion before the final operation. This is that transfusion. This will give the wetlands the salt water it needs to survive long enough for full restoration, and we urge you to approve it. Thank you very much.
We thank you for your testimony. Members of the council, that does close the public hearing on this matter. Are there any other members wishing to be heard? Seeing none, Ms. Galanter, any need to close? We're in order. Ms. Clerk, please open the roll on this matter. Close the roll. Now tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you very much. Next order of business, please. All items are going forthwith today.
Mr. President, item number 1 is an item notice for public hearing. There is a member of the public who wishes to be heard.
The chair now recognizes Mr. Tim Riley for public comment.
I was only here to answer questions, if I marked on there to answer questions about this. I see no one showing up for the protest,
All right.
so we're okay with this.
Thank you very much. That closes the public hearing on this item. Any members wishing to be heard? It was called special pursuant to Mr. Riley's request. If there are no questions or comments, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll on this item. Now close the roll. Please tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
Thank you very kindly. Next order of business, please.
Mr. President, item number 8 on the agenda is called special by Councilmember Weiss.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Weiss. Press your button, please, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I called this item special just to let everybody know something that may be buzzing around some of the offices, but I just want to make sure that it's express and explicit for everybody. This item is the second reading of the ordinance governing redistricting. We will pass that item today, and after we do that, the item will be sent forthwith to the mayor's office for the signature of the mayor. Presumably that will happen today, and under a quirk in the city charter, the matter will become effective. It will become law immediately upon publication of the ordinance, which you can't predict when that will happen, but it is reasonable to expect that that will happen at the beginning of next week or towards the middle of next week by the latest. What that will mean will be that, assuming things happen in that, can we have order in the chamber, Mr. President?
Pardon me just for one moment. Sergeants.
Thank you, Mr. President. I simply wanted to alert my colleagues.
I just need to see if any members of CD5 have
Well, it's a very quiet group, Mr. President.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
certain of that.
I'm sure they are now.
And, I
Please
just want to make
proceed.
sure that my colleagues and the staff representing those colleagues who are not here today understand that it is therefore likely under the law that the districts will legally take effect, the new districts will legally take effect approximately either the beginning or the middle of next week, and so be it. I just want to make sure everybody knew that, and I'd move approval of the item. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Any other members wishing to be heard at this point? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, would you please open the roll on item number 8? Close the roll. Now tabulate the vote.
8 eyes, 2 no.
All right. We are in order. That is passed, and we will proceed.
Mr. President, there are 2 more specials.
I see.
I warned you.
All right, we're moving with the kind of speed, if you will, that accommodates all that we need to do. What's before us at this point, Mr. Clerk?
Item number 2 is not on, or special 2 is not on the agenda. It's a motion put forward by Ms. Galanter, seconded by Mr. Ridley Thomas, and the city attorney will speak to the need to make finding.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a friendly 245. The Board of Water and Power Commissioners approved a contract which is for to purchase heavy-duty vehicles. They did this on June 24th at a special meeting. However, their action does not become final for 5 council legislative days unless we act on it, and therefore the council would need to make the findings and then vote on the motion.
All right. Members on the findings, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
Ms. Galanter, the floor is yours.
Thank you. This is, as Ms. Weingart said, this is a friendly 245. The contract is scheduled to begin on July 1st. It's to purchase vehicles, and because of our recess, there's no way we can hold this over for the 5 legislative days without seriously interfering with the Water and Power Department's ability to purchase these vehicles. So this will simply close the matter. What I will ask is that we assert jurisdiction and then that we approve the contract. So I believe there will have to be 2 separate votes.
All right. No other members indicating a need to speak. Mr. Clerk, let us then proceed.
Mr. President, the first vote will be to assert jurisdiction.
All right, a friendly Prop 245 in this instance. Please open the roll. Close the roll. Now tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Next order of business, please.
Is to, upon assertion of jurisdiction, is to
So I
have the
will
City
now move
Council.
to ratify the contract.
Correct.
Concur with the Board of Water and Power Commissioners.
Members, it is before you. Please open the roll. I'll close the roll. Please tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you very kindly. Next order of business.
Thank you.
Mr. President, is it the will of council to take special 3 out of order?
With no objection, please proceed.
Mr. Chair, this is has to do with finalizing legislation, H.R. 4, which has to do with energy regulation, and it would adversely affect the Department of Water and Power. The council just found out about this, about the finalizing, and therefore the council would need to make the findings that the need to act arose after the posting of the agenda and that there's an immediate need to act.
On the findings, members of the council, please open the roll and close the roll. Now tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
The chair recognizes Ms. Galanter.
Thank you. This one, not to put too fine a point on it, this is what we're worried about here is the federal government making an effort to force control over our transmission lines for electric power. And if they get away with that and they put us into they make it mandatory to participate in a regional transmission organization, that will jeopardize our ability to stay out of the deregulation program, and our ability to stay out and our decision to stay out is what kept the lights on last summer. So it is very important that we be in a position to have our Washington team and have the official city position in opposition to forcing us into this. We need to keep control of our own transmission lines. So I ask your support of the motion.
All right, members of the council, the item is before us, and if you're ready to vote, we'll ask the clerk to open the roll pursuant to Ms. Galanter's presentation. Close the roll. Now tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, on the regular agenda, item number 17 was called special by Councilmember Weiss. Do you wish to hold that on the desk with the other closed session items?
I think that would be in order. Proceed to the balance of the agenda, please.
Item number 24, called special by Councilmember Holden.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Holden.
Mr. President, members, maybe someone can give us some explanation on why we're going to add for continuation of the contract for ATM service being provided by Bank of America at this rate. And since general fund is not at all affected by it, why such a high rate, which is an imposition on the consumer? I mean, all that money goes to the airport anyway, and that goes under tubes in most cases. Would you explain that to us, sir, please?
God bless you.
Mark Adams, Department of Airports. Under the existing contract with Bank of America, which today we're seeking a short-term extension of that contract, Bank of America pays us a monthly fee per ATM that is installed at LAX. Bank of America does collect a fee based on transactions it gets from ATM transactions at the airport. And the payment they make to us represents a portion of the fees they collect from the travelers at the airport who withdraw funds or what have you from the ATMs. It's treated as a concession contract at the airport.
What are you looking for? Is the maximum return from the bank or the agency that provide this service?
Well, what
in
we're looking
terms
at,
of evaluating the proposal?
what we're looking at today is just an extension of the
I
existing
know what you're looking at
contract.
today, but
Right.
you're doing an RFP, is that correct?
Right, the
What are you
RFP is-
looking for in RFP? What are the conditions of RFP?
We're looking for, it's really a request for bid, so we're basically just looking for the maximum return from the
And so in order for you to get a
proposers.
maximum return at the airport, that means that the institution providing the service got to charge more money in order to give you more. Is that correct on the consumer?
Well, they will they will pass on, the high bidder, if you will pass on to the airport presumably a higher proportion
I
of
understand
the
that.
fees they collect.
But should that be our goal at this point? They pay ticket taxes, and surcharge, all kind of taxes they pay at the airport. It's not a lot of money. Couldn't we just provide some service for them?
Well, I think every vendor, all of the potential vendors would collect a fee for transactions from their ATMs. It's just a matter of what proportion of that they choose to give back to the airport.
Well, then why don't we just say, I would like to see an RFP that says, no money back to the airport, number one. Number two, charge the minimum amount that you can in order to provide the service. Because those travelers are paying money out, paying out a lot of money. Ticket costs, taxes on tickets, all kind of services and inconveniences. I'd like to see us give something back. It's not a lot of money at all. In this particular case, we can do it. You're talking about $600,000. All the money that's raised by the landing fees and so on stay with the airport anyway. Is that correct? Stays with the
Yes.
airport. Yes.
Based on the federal regulations.
Right, right. And
yes.
how much money are we talking about sometime? What do we take in per year out there?
I don't know the total figure off the top of my head. I know the ATM contract's about $1.3 million a year.
About 1.3 what?
Million.
I'm not talking about ATM. I'm
Right.
talking about just other monies and landing fees and so on.
I don't have that number handy right now.
More than enough to do a lot of things with. Some people say wasted. So personally, I would like to see some kind of arrangement like that where the airport says, we're going to give something back, $600,000 insignificant, just shows goodwill, good faith, and that the institution that can provide the best service for the least amount of cost to the consumer is the way we ought to go. That should be in your request for bid. That's what I think.
All right.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Chair now recognizes Ms. Galanter. Members, may I remind you that we are at a bare minimum with respect to a quorum, and there are time sensitivities that some members have indicated, so if you would govern yourselves accordingly, it would be appreciated. Be mindful of the fact that many of the items on the agenda have to be disposed of today. Mrs. Galanter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will follow your suggestions and just ask you to remember that I go whole meetings where I don't say anything at all. I just wanted to point out, I think Mr. Holden's concerns are concerns the Commission would do well to consider. But the problem right now is that if we don't extend the contract, there won't be any ATM service at the airport until the RFP and the rest of the process has been taken care of. So whatever your feelings about the fees, most of which I share, we need to have ATMs at the airport, and so I urge your support of the extension. But I think the concerns you've raised really ought to go to the Commission, and they ought to be requested you would please tell them that the Council would like them to think about these things.
Absolutely.
Well, it would seem to me that that can be formalized as a part of this action to essentially capture the sentiment expressed by Mr. Holden and reinforced by Ms. Galanter, and we would instruct staff to take that up at the next regularly scheduled commission meeting, cause it to be agendized, and it would be useful if the council could hear back on that matter. There are no other members requesting to be heard. The item is now before us for disposition. Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. Now close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Next item, please.
Mr. President, item number 25, called special by Councilmember Holden.
Mr. President, members, let's hold 25 over to Tuesday. I understand. I think I'll call 25 and 26.
No, we shouldn't be doing that. All right, any objection to this matter being continued? This is not a time-sensitive matter, is that correct, Mr. Clerk?
That is correct.
All right, at the request of Mr. Holden, who chairs this committee, Environmental Quality and Waste Management. What about item number 26, Mr. Holden?
25 and 26 can be continued till Tuesday.
Both items would be continued.
That's correct, Mr. President.
Without objection.
And
Next-
while I'm standing, Mr. President, I'd like to
Still standing.
for reconsideration of item 18 as a technical amendment that was not included in the adoption of the motion, and we can adopt that today as it relates to a special.
All right. Okay. Well, then we'll continue item 25 and 26 as requested by the chair of the committee. It will be heard on next Tuesday. There's a technical amendment that needs to be taken care of with respect to item number 18. Without objection, item number 18 then is before us. Mr. Holden.
I think 18A is before us, and I move 18A.
All right. Members, 18A is before you as an amendment.
Mr. President,
Sir.
clerk does not have a copy of 18A,
All right.
so the matter's not before you yet. Oh, here it comes.
You wish to retract your remarks, Mr. Clerk?
Everything's okay.
Everything's all right. All right. Any concerns, questions, objections about 18A? Mr. Holden represents that they are technical in nature. Open the roll on this item. Please close the roll. Now tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Mr. President, item number 17 and 27 are closed session items. There is also a special 4, which has been brought to my attention from Mr. Garcetti, seconded by Ms. Gruhl.
All right. What then is before us, Mr. Clerk? Are we prepared to take up the special that has come to our attention?
Yes, City Attorney will speak to the need to make findings
On the
special
findings.
4.
Thank you, Mr. President. On June 19th, Board of Recreation and Parks approved an MOU between their department and GSD for construction of the East Wilmington Community Center. It needs to, in order to obligate the Prop K funds, it needs to happen today, and it is a friendly Charter Section 245 again, so you need to make the Rule 23 findings, you need to take jurisdiction, and then approve the matter.
All right, Mr. Clerk, you've heard the instructions of the city attorney, who is about to set a record with respect to the number of specials today, and each one that comes before us is equally complicated. Let us proceed on the findings, Madam City Attorney.
I think I just gave them, it has to happen today in order to obligate the Prop K funds.
All right. That which is before us is on the findings, Mr. Clerk.
The findings are before you.
Open the roll on the findings. Close the roll on the findings. Tabulate the roll on the findings.
10 ayes.
Thank you very much. Now what's before us, Mr. Clerk?
Special 4 is before you.
Mr. Garcetti, do you wish to be heard on Special 4? For Janice Hahn.
Good, though. It's good. I call for approval of it.
Mr. Labange moves the agenda with respect to Special 4. Any questions or comments in this regard?
It's for Wilmington.
All members attentive accordingly to Special 4. Please open the roll. Close the roll. Now tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This will be good for Wilmington and good for Los Angeles.
All right.
Mr. President, the city clerk has just received a substitute motion for 15C from Councilmember Miskowski. That matter will have to be reconsidered in order to consider it.
All right. We appreciate the gymnastics of the members today in connection with these motions. Reconsideration of item number 15 is now before us. If there's no objection, I think we can proceed accordingly. Ms. Mizikowski, do you wish to be heard?
This is just a correction to a special event motion, putting in the correct dollar amount. So I appreciate the request for reconsideration and then the adoption of the substitute on 15C for the special event.
Pursuant to the motion from Ms. Mizikowski, the item is before us. Please open the roll on the amending motion. Close the roll. Please tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, on the desk are closed session items.
All right, members of the council, we appreciate your cooperation with respect to the closed session items. Let me just say the following as it relates to how we can proceed in the most orderly fashion. There are persons here who have been in our chamber since 10 o'clock who are due presentations. I'm going to ask those persons who are prepared to make their presentations if they would move as quickly to the podium, most specifically Mr. Weiss, followed by Mr. Labange. This will take us a relatively short amount of time. Those of you who are interested in remaining for the balance of the items before us, we would ask that you stay in the council chambers. The members of the council are going to recess to the executive chambers as such for a closed session item, and we will return in record time, I assure you. Mr. Weiss, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'm here today with a terrific man who's done terrific service for the city of Los Angeles. Mr. Richard Ray is leaving after 14 years of service with the city. He has served in the Office of Disability and the Department of Disability. He's made Los Angeles a better place to live for people who are deaf and who are hard of hearing. And he's demonstrated by his example that people with hearing disabilities can serve and serve the public capably. Through his outgoing personality, his helpful nature, and his sense of humor, Richard has been an inspiration to his coworkers, to the staff and management in all city, and in all aspects of the city. He has friends and family and coworkers with him here today who are a real testament to his service and his commitment to the people of this city. He has been responsible for placing the city at the forefront of quality programs and services for the deaf and the hard of hearing, including overseeing installation of the 911 TTY system, establishing a pilot video phone system at 4 LAPD stations, and producing a variety of educational videotapes. He is to be congratulated for his terrific years of service to the people of this city. I present to you Richard Ray.
Oh, yes. He deserves it, and we have persons who wish to acknowledge it. So, Richard, hold on just a minute. We look now to Ms. Gruhl, followed by Mr. Garcetti.
I just wanted to stand up as well and say congratulations. We will miss you, Richard. I've known you since my days in the mayor's office, and I think Jack appropriately said good-humored, talented, committed, dedicated. All of those words describe you. And we will miss you, but know that you will continue to be an advocate and visit us and make sure we're doing our jobs. And just wanted to say particularly thank you, and I've enjoyed working with you over the years and for hopefully years to come.
Mr. Garcetti, Mr. Labange, Mr. Pacheco.
Richard, I first met Richard when I was a candidate walking on the streets, and I knocked on a door, and I actually visited Richard's home, and he invited me in, and we began to talk, and it was clear to me this person knew a lot about the city, and obviously knew a lot about making access better, because he asked me if in my own campaign I had TDD stuff set up, and it really opened my eyes to help me to make sure that we were more accessible, not only as a campaign, but now as a council member as well. I'm very proud that you live in the 13th District. I won't name the street because I know you're going to be moving on from the city, so we want you to enjoy your time away also. But I just wanted to say thank you. You've been always such an incredible person to see and to be able to work with in this short time. So thank you, and we'll miss you very much.
Mr. Labange.
Richard, I love you.
Tom Labange. Mr. Pacheco.
I just want to tell Richard, thank you so much for working with us in the Greater Los Angeles Council on Deafness, and every year as we celebrate Deaf Awareness Month. Thank you for working with us.
Ms. Perry.
Richard, I want to say, I personally will miss you. You've always been such a wonderful person, very patient, very willing to educate anybody and everybody at any time, and always with a smile and kind words. So it's our loss, and I hope you enjoy your time away, and please don't be a stranger and come back.
Thank you very much. That exhausts the speakers list, and Richard, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I would like to say a few words. And as you know, Angela Kaufman here is, well, not really, but she's the staff interpreter for the Department on Disability who will be voicing for me. I'd really like to thank all of the city departments, the City Attorney's Office, Information Technology Agency, the 311 e-Government Project, that team, the Emergency Preparedness Department, and many of the other different city departments. I mean, I can't list them all. But really, they are wonderful, supportive people. And also, I would like to thank specifically the City Department on Disability, who is headed by Sharon Morris, who is our executive director. I really would like to thank her. And also, I would like to thank Noreen Vincent, who is a city attorney who many, many years ago was the executive director for the mayor's office on disability when she actually hired me. So in other words, it was her responsibility that I'm in the city now. But it has been such a wonderful experience working these years during the city. I would like to also thank Angela Kaufman, who has been a big part of the staff team as staff interpreter and project assistant with the department. And I also would like to thank all of the council members for your support, and I sure will miss you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we should give him a warm round of applause for his work and service in the city of Los Angeles. He's a great guy. Come on up and see me before you leave, Richard. He's a great guy. He's done well for the citizens of Los Angeles. All right. Richard is the man, I tell you. One of Los Angeles' best ambassadors. Thank you very much, Mr. Butcher. Bring Richard up so we can take a photo up here as well, all right? Thank you. Mr. Labange, you're on, followed by Mr. Garcetti, and rapid fire succession, I presume.
Mr. President and members of council, this great city of Los Angeles is truly an international city, and from time to time, almost every day, if I had my way, welcome someone who's visiting our city here. Today, from Cuba, is an attaché of cultural affairs, Lourdes Webb, and it's my wonderful delight to welcome you and have you observe City Council and say a few brief words. As you know, we have a greater opening with our relationship with Cuba as it continues on, and I have with us this morning our great own Al Nodell, a former Cultural Affairs General Manager. Now join us at the podium, please. And also we have Lawrence Shoup, who's with us this morning, Clara Weaver from the International Sister Cities, please join us here, and as well as George Gonzalez, please join us here. Please welcome officially now Cultural Attaché of Cuba, Lourdes Webb.
All right.
Dear Mr. Mark Ridley, President Pro Tem, Mr. Tom Labange, City Council Member, dear LA City Council members, I am Lourdes Basue, as he said before, the Cultural Attaché of the Cuban Interest Section, and it is an honor for me to receive this proclamation of welcome to LA City. This proclamation comes at a time when we are marking today the second anniversary of Elian Gonzalez's return to Cuba, and I would like to thank the City Council, the people of LA, and the people of the United States for the support they rendered at the time of Elian Gonzalez's stay here in the United States. I would also like to thank you all for having me speak today to you, and I just hope the City of LA will be soon joining the family of twin sisters with cities in Cuba. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and bienvenidos. We're delighted that you're here. Mr. Pacheco wishes to say a word to our special guest. Sir?
Bienvenidos y espero un día llegar con ustedes en Cuba. Gracias.
All right, we had the pleasure of being in Cuba in 1978 and then again in 1984 as delegates on very special occasions, and we have fond memories, and we hope to have the benefit of the experience again. Mr. Labange.
Mr. Lawrence Soup just wanted to say special greetings.
On behalf of the U.S.-Cuba Sister Cities Association, I would like to thank President Pro Tem Mark Ridley Thomas and the City Council of Los Angeles for the warm welcome extended to Dr. Lourdes Basue Webb. The Los Angeles Cuba Sister Cities Committee would also like to thank again Mr. Tom Labange, Mr. Adolfo Nodal, and Special Assistant to Tom Labange, Stacy Marble, for all of the work put into this moment. The U.S.-Cuba Sister Cities Association is the only organization in the United States able to act as a liaison between communities in Cuba and communities in the United States. We facilitate mutual, sustainable relationships. Since our founding in 1999, we now count 12 official sister cities, 3 of them in Northern California, so Southern California, usually the trendsetter in these situations, needs to catch up quickly. We also have 35 active sister city committees in various stages of development and 1 official state-to-province partnership between Pennsylvania and Matanzas. All of this has been accomplished by volunteers, proving that the bond between the people of Cuba and the people of the United States cannot be embargoed and will never require special licensing. Again, we thank the City of Los Angeles for the warmth extended to Dr. Lourdes Basue Webb, and we hope to see you all tomorrow at our reception for Dr. Basue Webb at the Caresan Center, and information will be passed to you later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Again, bienvenidos. And we want to once again acknowledge the one and only Al Nodal, and we welcome you back to City Council chambers, Al. We haven't seen you in quite a while, but we are delighted to see you.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be back for the first time in 2 years. And I wouldn't do it for anything else but Cuba.
All right.
A
native Cuban.
Yes, I am. And
yes.
It's about time that LA became a sister city with a wonderful city in Havana. We're going to start working on that.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're delighted to see you.
Thank you.
All righty. We have a final presentation, and it's from the Honorable Eric Garcetti.
As the Cuban delegation leaves, thank you for coming here as well from the heart of the Cuban community in the 13th District, where we have the Cuban Festival each year.
All right.
Muchas gracias y bienvenidos. Colleagues, members of the public, it gives me great joy today to be able to start the party early for July 1st, which is the day that the International Criminal Court will come into being. 50 years ago, more than 50 years ago now, after the Nuremberg trials, the international community promised that it would enact a permanent standing tribunal that would bring about a place where the most horrific crimes committed against citizens of any country could be brought to justice, where we could have justice in the legacy of Nuremberg and let that never happen again. But the Cold War intervened, and we were never able to bring that about. New momentum to this movement happened in the 90s when we saw 2 more horrific tragedies, both in Rwanda and in the former Yugoslavia occur. And with that promise and the temporary tribunals that we set up, once again the international community looked at how can we do something to make sure that that promise of Nuremberg isn't lost. Today I'm joined by friends from Los Angeles here, which has been a real beacon in this movement. These are members of the International Criminal Court Alliance. led by Marvin Schachter, who is a leader in our community on so many issues, but most particularly with International Criminal Court Alliance. And I used to serve on the board with all these folks, with Sean Butler, Shireen Ershadi, Kathy Emanuel, and also Dan Magel, who are all here to join in this celebration. And human rights activists throughout the world are celebrating that this court is coming about. Today we have a commendatory resolution that reads, congratulations to the International Criminal Court Alliance on the creation of the International Criminal Court on July 1st, 2002. I think that few of us thought that this court could come into being as swiftly as it did. To The Hague, Netherlands, thanks to your ceaseless efforts, the international community will finally establish this permanent tribunal, originally called for after Nuremberg, to investigate and try individuals for the most serious international crimes, including genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. The ICC will bring to justice those responsible for the most heinous international crimes. Your efforts, based here in Los Angeles, had a profound effect throughout the country and the world in bringing about the ICC. So some watching, some here today may be asking why here, why so locally, why this Los Angeles City Council? Well, first and foremost, because of what Eleanor Roosevelt taught us all, that great American, that human rights begins right here in our backyard with our neighbors and our colleagues and our friends. But secondly, too, because Los Angeles and the folks that are here behind me was had one of the strongest movements in the world to try to push for the International Criminal Court. And while we still remain disappointed the United States not only has not ratified it, but actually unsigned the treaty, an unprecedented move for the United States, we nevertheless say that Americans throughout this country want that to happen and that we all stand together for human rights. Also today I'm joined by Tom Labange to introduce a resolution that calls on the City of Los Angeles to take an official position confirming its support for the formation of an International Criminal Court and urging President Bush to sign the treaty to establish the International Criminal Court and take other actions to support the formation of the International Criminal Court. And that resolution gives a history of what has brought us here today. But I want to give this to Marvin and turn the microphone over to him to say a few words as well.
All right, the one and only Marvin Schachter. We're glad to welcome you to the council chamber.
Glad to see you again, Mark. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the council, this is an historic occasion, and it's really appropriate that the city of Los Angeles, proud of its diversity and proud of its commitment to human rights, has taken this step. Civilization moves forward on July 1st in the establishment of the International Criminal Court, ratified by 66 nations, including every single ally, every member of the NATO alliance, most of the countries of Latin America. The tragedy is that the United States is not among those 66 nations that have ratified the treaty. Our hope is, and our commitment is, to continue to work. The United States was in the forefront at the Nuremberg trials and the Tokyo trials in holding those responsible for the horrors of the Holocaust responsible as criminals. And we have supported the ad hoc tribunals in Rwanda and Bosnia. The permanent International Criminal Court that will come into being on July 1st is an enormous step forward in international law, in the protection of justice, and most important, in protecting human rights against the crimes and the horrors of mass murder, of rape and pillage that have disfigured our history and the history of the world. We thank you for your support. We thank you for the commitment to human rights that this council is showing once again. Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I also want to thank Priya Sridharan from my staff for helping out in bringing about this presentation and this resolution as well. I have one other presentation to make.
Thank you. In short order, sir.
In short order. Come on up. Another real hero in our community. It gives me a great honor to be able to present to everybody George Kokoro-Azarian, who is the president of the MAC Foundation. George established the MAC Foundation in 1990 with his own financial resources, having been a successful businessman in the area. And this is one of those unsung heroes who never gets recognition in Los Angeles, who does tireless work without folks knowing about it. And every single week he buys food and he just gives it out. He has no place for the foundation right now. It has no permanent home, though we're looking for one for him, but he literally just gets the trucks, gets the people, buys the food, and hands it out to people in need. It's not just food, it's clothing to homeless folks, to folks that are marginally homeless or who are living in poverty. And out of his vans and his trucks, he does this almost every single day, providing resources to thousands of people in our community. So it gives me great joy to be able to give this certificate of appreciation to Krikor for your commitment and dedication to the Hollywood community. Your volunteer work has touched the lives of many in need. I'll give you that with one hand, and then the other one you can hold in the other hand is for the Mac Foundation. Congratulations on your grand opening, and welcome to Hollywood. We're very proud to have you there, and if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Here, come speak here.
Thank you very much. All council members of Los Angeles, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your work for the city of Los Angeles. That concludes our presentations. Mr. Clerk, Ms. Perry, Chair of the Public Works Committee, has made a request that we refer item number 11 to that committee. Is there any objection to doing so?
Mr. President, I believe you have to reconsider the matter first.
All right, is there any objection to reconsideration? Hearing none, it is before us, and pursuant to consent of the council, we will then refer item number 11 to the Public Works Committee. And that will be the order.
Mr. President, point of personal privilege.
What is your point, Mr. Pacheco?
Colleagues, Mr. President, as you know, very recently I've shared information.
Sergeants, Mr. Pacheco does have the floor. It would be helpful if we had sufficient attention paid to whoever the speaker is. The volume is a little loud otherwise.
Colleagues, as you know, recently in the downtown news, there was an offensive or a caricature that many individuals in the Latino community felt was offensive. I shared it with you and shared the actual image with you in terms of the June 17th, 2002 issue of the Downtown News on the front page. I received many emails from many Latino professionals and community members who were very concerned about this issue. They were not satisfied with the initial effort on the Downtown News to print the letters to the editor with a simple heading called Lessons Learned. So we were discussing that they had to formally apologize, or we were going to consider an advertisement boycott. I just wanted to give you an update, colleagues, because I know that many of you had received the email, and I wanted to make sure that you knew that as of last night, the Downtown News on their website had placed a formal apology. It reads, "Dear readers, Downtown News apologize for any offense caused by the clip art image that appeared in the issue of June 17, 2002. It did not undergo the normal review process. No affront was intended." Many of you have this on your desk. I just want to tell you that we will be contacting all those individuals who sent emails into our offices and share with them this development. And Sue Laris, the editor, has agreed to sit down with me to discuss a multitude of issues, including diversity of opinions and the diversity of writers and the diversity of employment at their organization. So I just want to give you that update, colleagues, because at one point I was thinking of introducing a formal motion, but with this development, there will be no need to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Mr. Clerk, the next order of business.
Mr. President, item number 27A, B, and C, there's a request from the city attorney to continue those matters until Tuesday, July 2nd.
Without objection, granted. With thanks to the city attorney. All right.
Mr. President, you now have item number 17 and 27D, which are closed session matters, to be considered.
All right. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have cleared the agenda with the exception of the two items indicated by the city clerk. And pursuant to the appropriate government code, we are now going to move to executive session. I had originally suggested that we might move the members to the executive session chambers, but we are now going to stay where we are, handle the business that is before us, and dispose of it in an orderly fashion. Therefore, sergeants, if you would clear the chambers of those who are not here on items that have been indicated by the clerk. All right. When we are reconvened for the public session, our open session, we will then handle the balance of the items that are before us pursuant to law, and that includes public comment.
Okay, the council's back in open session. Mr. Clerk, what's before us?
Item number 17, there's a motion on the floor to note and file the report before you today, and also request Public Safety Committee to thoroughly review this matter within the next 30 days.
Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That matter is approved.
And item number 27D, it's authorizing the city attorney to settle the case for $505,000.
You heard that recommendation. Ms. Galanter moves, Ms. Perry seconds. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That matter is approved.
Now it's time for public comment on non-agenda items.
Members of council, we have a card submitted from Mr. Candido Maris, who'd like to speak to us.
Thank you, Madam President, council members. Today I'm not going to talk about the greatest city in the greatest country in the world. But because of redistricting happening next week, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you, Madam President, for allowing me to work in your district. I want to thank you for bringing the 2 T&Is to the Van Nuys area. There's a rebirth that has taken place in the Van Nuys area. The Constituent Center is going up. Van Nuys Boulevard has new life to it. And for those that have abandoned Van Nuys, I think they're going to be sorry one day, because Van Nuys has a history, and it's a wonderful history. I may live in the 12th District and be represented by Councilman Burnson, but it's been a joy to work with you on some of the T&I projects. And I'm not going to embarrass you, but I do have to make comments about other things that you've allowed us to do in the community. The other one is the community court. The community court has not only impacted those that have committed the crimes, but those that were affected by the crimes. And so Van Nuys area has one of the few community courts throughout the city, and that's because of your support, and I thank you for that. But the biggest thing is for the children of the Van Nuys area. Before you became the council person, there was 2 parks. One was the Leno Park and Van Nuys Park. They were controlled by the gangs. Children were trying to play baseball. At the same time, they were having gang jump-ins, and gangs were actually taking other young kids and making them part of their group. And we stopped that, and that was because of your help, ma'am. So I want to thank you for that. And the last thing, for the children that were part of the soccer league, over 3,000 kids, because of T&I dollars, they were able to, rather than staying in their homes and watching television, they were out there in the community having a good time, and now they're part of that community trying to keep it clean. So I thank you, and I look forward to working with Ms. Galanter next time, but I want to thank you very much for all that you've done in the Van Nuys area.
Thank you, Candido. We had 2 other cards submitted, Mort Allen and Ms. Sylvia Lynn Hawkins. I don't see their presence, so public comment period is closed. Members of the council, any announcements?
Madam
I'm sorry.
President,
Yes, Mr.
motions for posting and referral.
They are posted and referred.
And council members' request from excuse from council attendance. Councilmember Pacheco requests excuse on July 3rd for personal business. This meets policy.
Mr. Pacheco is excused.
Councilmember Garul requests to be excused on July 26th for personal business. This also,
I wonder why.
actually, a motion is required on this.
All right, well, Mr. Garcetti will move and Mr. Labange will second.
Everybody else will forever hold their
And
peace.
Councilmember Perry requests to be excused on July 30th for city business. This meets policy.
Ms. Perry is excused.
The desk is clear.
Okay, now is the time for council announcements. Mr. Garcetti, do you-
Just one announcement that's for the council members, a report back after 1 month of $2 parking at Hollywood and Highland is that traffic is up 48% in our city-owned parking lot and revenues are up 28%, so appreciate the support.
good.
Well, the number of cars parking, traffic is holding steady.
Mr. Labange?
Yes, just want to remind everybody, it's a great weekend to visit a museum throughout Southern California somewhere. There's a great show, Jewish Life in the West, at the Autry Museum is for one, but at all our museums, it's a great place to go and take the family and encourage someone to do that.
Mr. Garcetti,
And also
again?
in Woodley Park this this Sunday at 12:30, there will be the Fiesta Shalom celebration, which celebrates both Latino and Jewish heritage here in the city, and I'm the honorary Grand Marshal because of my, no, just kidding. but I encourage everybody to go there.
Mr. Weiss, did you have an announcement? Okay.
Kosher burritos for everybody.
Okay, now is the time for adjourning motions. Chair recognizes Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you. This is for Mr. Reyes, though I'd like to co-present. I'd like the City Council to adjourn in memory of Anabel Rojas Verches, who passed away Monday, June 24th, as a result of her battle against leukemia. Anabel Verches is a native of Los Angeles, and she passed away in Boston, Massachusetts. She was a senior executive with the Xerox Corporation for over 20 years, and most recently with Polaroid in Cambridge, Massachusetts. She's a graduate of Belmont High School here, California State, Los Angeles, and Stanford Executive Management Program. She's survived by her husband, Ray Verches, and her son, Vincent. In 1988, she was honored as Hispanic Business Magazine's Woman of the Year, and she is the sister-in-law of Richard Verches, who many of us know as well.
Thank you. And Ms. Gruhl will second that. The chair recognizes Mr. Holden.
Mr. President, Madam President, on behalf of Councilwoman Janice Hahn, I introduce this adjournment motion acknowledging Ms. Barbara Jean Hampton. Ms. passed away from a heart attack. Mrs. Hampton was the director of the Watts Senior Center and an employee of the Department of Recreation and Parks. She was born in 1937. Funeral services are being held currently today, 28th, at 10 a.m. Angeles Funeral Home in Inglewood. She's survived by two daughters, Sonia Hampton House, Andrea Hampton, and one son, Edward Anthony Hampton. Very active person in our community, in our society, and helped so many seniors. We should be missed.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mr. Labange.
Yeah. Madam President, members of council, the mother of Commissioner Mike Roos passed recently, and she was a wonderful woman and inspired Michael, who did so much as a state representative and now as the president of our park commission. It's not only by Michael, but the two daughters of Chris and Missy, and we ask that to remember Melissa Roos in our prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Our members. The chair recognizes Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I am doing this adjourning motion on behalf of my employee, Marie Rumsey, whose grandmother, Mary Garcia, passed away. She was survived by two daughters, Catherine and Margaret, two sons, Frederick and Anthony, and countless grandchildren. She had the good fortune to live in Brazil, New York, and El Paso, Texas, and she was very active in her Catholic faith. She was married to her husband, Anthony, for 50 years, and she will be remembered by all who loved her. She will be buried in Phoenix, Arizona.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Madam President, members of the council, please join me in adjourning in memory of John Nicholas. Mr. Nicholas was a resident of the 8th District since 1987. He appeared here in the council chambers on the matter of redistricting just a few weeks ago, and shortly thereafter, the 13th, he passed away. He was a member of the Gramercy Circle Block Club for the past 15 years and was recently elected to its presidency. Mr. Nicholas was a stage technician for many years and worked on various shows such as the Grammys, the Oscars, American Music Awards, Soul Train Awards, all of which, as you know, took place at the Shrine Auditorium. He retired in 1997, but he still went back to work on various shows as he was needed, and certainly had the technical expertise to make a difference. He is survived by his wife, Annie Nicholas, 3 sons, 2 daughters, 2 brothers, 1 sister, and 5 grandchildren. Mr. Nicholas will be sorely missed.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, I'd ask that you join me in adjourning in memory of Robert Lenski, who passed away on June 19. He had been nominated on multiple occasions for Emmy Awards as a television writer. He had a very successful career in the television industry, including writing many scripts for the Hallmark Hall of Fame, which is about as wholesome and uplifting as it gets. And you don't find people like Bob anymore in the industry. I mean, that really was a bygone era. He was a Marine veteran. He landed at Iwo Jima, and his survivors include his wife, Leah.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, call the roll. Thank you. Council is adjourned.
You are watching LA City View, Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
We now join our scheduled program in progress.